Good morning, class. In the interest of saving time, today we are going to cut right to the chase. If you are at all concerned with the forthcoming presidential election, then you would do well to know ahead of time that which you are up against. Hence, how many of you out there are familiar with this repeat scenario? Hooray! The election results are back! 1,000,000,000 billion kajillion trillion of us voted for the obviously right candidate, and only a few million jackasses out there voted for the idiot candidate. We won! And then along comes some know-it-all dope to say, oh, no. That was only the popular vote. You must wait for the results to come back from the votes cast by the Electoral College. There it is. That shadowy, elusive, somewhat inscrutable entity. Those two words you always hear getting thrown around. Two little words upon which it seems the fate of the election, of the country, and of the people hangs in the balance. What is it? And why in the hell does it seem so capable of either settling or screwing up an election which seems so inarguably decided by the Vox Populi, the voice of the people? I am going to spare you the tedium of the textbook explanation, as it is a mishmash of ambiguity. Instead, I have prepared for you an analogy which, extreme and oversimplified as it is, will nevertheless be directly relatable to punks and skins. And what is more, it will serve to illustrate the main way in which it is constantly being insisted that the Electoral College is uncontrollable, is corrupt, and is being manipulated to misrepresent the will of the voters. Shoulder tapping. You are all surely no strangers to this phenomenon. Now, let us alter this typical situation by adding a few details which will help you to follow this hypothetical scenario. Very simple, very basic. Let's take you and 9 of your friends, 10 of you all together, and place you in some specific circumstances. All 10 of you are responsible, reasonably intelligent individuals, all of whom are legally old enough to drink. And when you drink, you do so responsibly. In fact, the only real time you drink is when you all get together every 4 years to celebrate some special anniversary, let's say. Now, let us further suppose that all 10 of you live in a very small town in which there is only one store which sells beer, wine, liquor, only one place which sells libation. You all meet up in the parking lot of this store to purchase a case of alcoholic beverage for your celebration. Then, just by coincidence, you all realize, all 10 of you, that you all forgot your driver's licenses, ID cards, any credentials which will allow you to purchase an alcoholic beverage. Again, you are all legal and legitimately able to make the purchase. Your money and your preferences are all valid, but because of the circumstances and the law and the fact that the store owner has to go by the book, and his policy insists that you must have your ID to purchase libation, you are not able to go forward and, as a definitive customer, make your purchasing power count. You talk over your dilemma with each other and decide that if you want to assert your purchasing power, you will have to find someone who will representationally do it for you. In other words, you will have to shoulder tap someone who does ostensibly have the credentials to go into the store and make the purchase for you. You look around the parking lot, and there you see a guy dressed in spikes and studs, mohawk plumed, ostensibly a fellow punk rocker. Now, there are many other individuals in this parking lot. There's a woman over there with 4 children. There's a man in a suit and tie over there. Over here is a little old lady. Over there is a guy dressed in uniform from the local army recruitment office. But out of them all, this seeming punk rocker is the one who appears to be most suited to your purpose. So, you shoulder tap him. You shoulder tap him, and, smilingly, he says, "Why, yes, of course you may delegate me to go into that store with the purchasing power of your money, and moreover, with your clearly stated preferences. Yes, you may trustingly rely upon me to do so. As such, all 10 of you hand over your money, and more importantly, to avoid any confusion, you have each taken 10 little slips of paper and written down upon them precisely what you want, what you have selected for purchase from that store. And this fellow punk rocker, whom you have elected to go into that store on your behalf, this Elector, as it were, he takes all 10 of those little ballot-like slips of paper, and he very pointedly reads all 10 of them out loud, demonstrating that he can clearly see what all of you want. Now, as it happens, all 10 of you want precisely the same item. You all want a bottle of Imperial Excelsior par excellence champagne. It is unanimous. At 10 bottles a case, you all collectively want a case of Imperial Excelsior par excellence champagne. Now, with this transparently clarified to your elector, he unmistakably acknowledges your wishes and then finally goes into the store. A little while later, he comes back out and hands you a case of O'Doul's. O'Doul's. A case of impotent, non-alcoholic, useless O'Doul's. Dumbstruck, you demand to know what happened, walking your elector step by step through what you thought was a fairly obvious, straightforward process, and he agrees with every detail you delineate. Yes, I agreed to be your shoulder-tap representative as the only obvious option. Yes, I received and read your slips of paper. I recognize that I fully understood what your preferences were, and then I assured you that I would implement those preferences as your representative inside the store. Yes, I fully acknowledge all of this. Stupefied, you all stare at him and then yell, "Well then what the hell happened?" He stares back at all of you and says, "Knowing that you wanted champagne, I, nonetheless, took it upon myself to conclude that I know better than you what is best for all of you, and so I arbitrarily decided. I made the choice for you to get you what I happen to think is the better purchase, because I know what you want better than you know what you want. Then he goes on to say, if you want the truth, the reason why I brought you back O'Douls is that's what everyone ahead of me in line at the checkout stand was buying. So I just thought. He then dumps the case of O'Douls into your hands and says, oh, by the way, there are no exchanges. There are no refunds. This is what you get. See ya in 4 years. And then he turns and walks away. Now that, boys and girls, punks and skins, is a worst-case scenario depiction of what could transpire by way of the Electoral College via that element known as a rogue elector. As stated, it is an oversimplified, extreme analogy, but nonetheless, it is a fundamental upshot of what could go wrong. Regardless of how many of you vote, or how many of you do not vote for that matter, ultimately the decision will rest in the hands of 538 electors who might loyally cast their votes in accordance with the wishes of their constituents, or who might, because of political pressure, because of lobbying, because of bribery, because of fanaticism, because God told them to, because they saw it in their tea leaves, or because they read it in their crystal balls, or because they just felt like it, so there. They might just vote for the exact polar opposite of what the people whom they are allegedly representing clearly, expressly wanted, and moreover, needed. Kind of like when you shoulder tap some, as it turns out, completely unqualified stumblebum wino and send him into the store to retrieve for you a fine bottle of Thunderbird wine, and instead he comes back out with a Juggalo vintage 6-pack of Mountain Dew. And then has the nerve to ask if he can keep the change. Class dismissed.